Hello. I think a lot of us are trying to figure out this question, BSO or Deerfield Beach Police Department. What really makes the most sense? And I can tell you from my perspective, I'm not for or against either one. I just really want to know the information to be able to make an informed decision, or at least know that our city manager and our commissioners and mayor are making a decision based upon good factual information. So I've requested the work product to understand, why they're making the decision. And when I think about it, there's debatable things like what is the best for the safety of our citizens and the visitors and our property and all of that stuff at Deerfield Beach. And that's really opinion. Um, like some people think it's better to have the sheriff's office with the experience they have and the ability to be able to move, personnel around from city to city, if people get sick or if there's a big event. Other people feel like it's going to be more personal if we have our own police department, right? And we'll get to know the police officers as if we don't get to know the deputies, like there might be a difference there. And maybe there is. But it does seem like the one thing that we should be able to make a decision about is the financial information, right? So there was a consultant that was hired. Um, and, you know, from, what the commissioners and the mayor are saying and the city manager, they're doing an investigation about the finances of this. And, so I haven't been able to get that information. I've asked for it. So what I've done is, taken some of the information they have provided, like this list of the different cities here in the county, and try to pull information I could myself. So I want to share with y'all what I learned. So, one of the things we've heard from the folks on the dais there is that most of the larger cities in our county already have their own police department. You can see here, Pompano Beach has BSO. And they're currently doing a study that's coming out on the 23rd of February. So it'd be interesting to hear the outcome of that. And then here's Deerfield Beach. So yes, all of these other ones above us in size, because this is how it's ranked, they do have their own police departments, right? And you can see further down you go, there's a mix. Some have, county sheriffs, and other ones have city. So, the argument is if those cities can do it, we can too. So what I was wondering is how long have those cities had their own police departments, and did they just build one all of a sudden, or were they able to scale up over time? So I looked back and I looked up each one of these police departments and found out that, for instance, Fort Lauderdale has had their police department for 115 years. So, it's built up gradually over time. And you can see this column. Pembroke Pines, 66 years. Hollywood, 101 years. Miramar, 71 years. Coral Springs, 61 years. And it just goes on. And you see here at the bottom, the average age of the municipalities that have their own police departments is they've had them for over 81 years. That's excluding the 3 that recently migrated away from BSO, which are the ones that are highlighted here. If you bring those in, it brings that average still to almost 70 years on average. These police departments have had time to scale in size. So, that doesn't mean that other municipalities haven't considered doing the same thing. For instance, Deltona up in Central Florida evaluated making this move a few years ago, and they hired a real consultant and paid really good money to have it done, and took several months to do it, and they found out that the cost justification wasn't really there. They might have saved a few dollars, but it wasn't a substantial enough savings that they felt like it was worth the change. And they put it to a voter referendum, and it was voted down. They wanted to stay with, in that case, Volusia County Sheriff. And you can see here, so we've had Lauderhill that did swing over from BSO to their own city police department 31 years ago when their population was 52,000. Currently, Deerfield Beach's population is 87,000. So, 50% more than Lauderhill was at the time. And I've got some more information to share with you about Lauderhill, right? Southwest Ranches and Pembroke Park are very small um, city police departments that, the uplift wasn't that big. So I did some research and I tried to find, and I looked countrywide, nationwide, looking for other cities with populations between 75,000 and 1.5, because we're 90,000 ish. So I figured that was a pretty good range. Let's go a little lower and a little bit higher to look at the other municipalities that have made this change from county sheriffs to building out their own police departments. And there are none in the past 10 years that have made that change. Some have looked at it, but none, literally none, have done this in the past 10 years. In fact, and I used a couple of different AI engines to find this information, ChatGPT 5, Perplexity, and a couple others. This is out of Perplexity that I'm showing you right here. It did say that reverse transitions are common. Over 500 went the other way and disbanded their police departments to go with county services because that's where the savings was realized. So I dug a little bit deeper, right? And I had it, Perplexity then look at the three scenarios, one being Deerfield Beach in our situation, another one being Lauderhill, which I mentioned before, made the change 31 years ago. And then we also found Boynton Beach, right? They have their own police department, but they're similar to us. They have a beachside community. They have, events at the beach and around the city where they do have, um, you know, I guess what would you call it, like surges, where they have a lot of other people from around that will come into their city for events like Fourth of July and stuff like that, and have to be able to accommodate these kind of events like we do. So, and they're close to us in size as well. They're 83,000 to our 90-ish, right? And Lauderhill's about 74. So I had it look at how many police officers should there be, and the ratio that it came up with was about, it should be about, 2 officers per 1,000 residents. So, so 2 to 2.2. So we looked at that, and then, I dug into Lauderhill. Right, they made the change 31 years ago to look at how this is working out for them. So with last year's budget that I looked at, their current population about 74,000. This shows you the size of their department. But this is interesting. So from 2022 to 2025, they had different inflections of increase in prices from year to year. For instance, from 22 to 23, it was 9% jump on the budget. And then after that, it's usually about 3.5 to 5% variance. And then they have their capital project summary too of upcoming expenses that they know they're going to have. So you can see here in 2026, they're expecting their overall police budget to be 33 million, sorry, 33,024,686, right? Then you have to add in these costs down here from the general capital projects that are forecast for each year. So for 2026, you added the 186,000 to that. So for 2026, their spend is about 33 million and a half. For 2027, though, they've got this upcoming cost they've got for the patrol vehicles and laptops. So they're going to jump up to almost $40 million for their police budget for 2027. Right? This is a smaller city by about 10% that made the change from BSO to their own police department. And initially they thought it was going to be to reduce costs, and they found out that it's really not to reduce costs. So now, on top of all of this and these different price surges they have to adopt for time to time, they have things like pensions and things like that that are snowballing for them, which, with us having that come from BSO, we're insulated a little bit. And then I looked at Boynton Beach. Boynton Beach, also a little bit smaller than us, and they've had their police department for quite a long time, but they're having the same thing with surges in costs. So their budget for 2026, the adopted budget, $47 million for Boynton Beach, right? A little bit smaller than us, but paying more than us to have their own police department. So, kind of in a summary here, Lauderhill PD, their budget for 2027, $39 million. Boynton Beach's budget for 2026 is over $47 million. Deerfield Beach contract with BSO for 2026 is less than $39 million. And the city did hire a consultant to help justify making this move from BSO to building out our own police department. And by the way, this consultant, what they do, their real business, is building out facilities for municipalities that need to expand their services or their buildings, right? So it's maybe a little bit of conflict there. And really what makes me call this whole thing into wonder is this consultant is saying that the city could save $500 million over the next 20 years. And that math doesn't quite math, because that means that the city would be saving $25 million per year over the next 20 years. But we're paying less than the other municipalities, and somehow we're going to, what, 39 million minus 25 million would be, we're going to do this for $14 million a year. That's not true, because that's not even what the consultant said. The consultant said it would be about $30 million per year. So there's no way we're saving $25 million per year to do this. So my big ask to the city and to anyone else in the city that will stand up and help ask this question is, please, can we stop this crazy train just for a couple weeks? The city of Pompano Beach is coming out with their extensive and expensive survey that they're doing to decide should they make the move from BSO to their own police department. They have a true consultant that's invested many months, and I think it's cost over $220,000 that the city of Pompano Beach has spent for this consultant to help them figure out, does this make sense? That report should be released on February 23rd. And all I'm asking and frankly begging is for other citizens of Deerfield Beach just to ask the city, please don't vote this coming Tuesday, February 3rd, to move ahead with building out our own police department until we find out what the outcome is of the Pompano Beach survey. Let's get all that information. And by God, even better, give us the work product that the city manager and the director of public safety and the mayor and everybody else has been working on, and show us the math of how building out our own police department, paying for the overlap of BSO and building our own police department over the next 2 years is going to save us money, because that math is just really hard to figure out how we can pay for BSO and building out our own police department and it costing less than having BSO. So please stand up with us on Tuesday night. Ask the commissioners and the mayor to please give us the math, show us all the work product that is encouraging them to make this decision. That's all we want to know. We would just want to know the math. Thank you for listening.